For the first time in quite a while, the Eagles actually have a test. They're going to Seattle. To Seattle. People are still doubting them, though. It's happening. James Worthington is here. I'm Adrian Fedq. Legion of Boom, more like Legion of Fucked.
Let's hope so. Let's definitely hope so. I mean, they're still a championship caliber squad, but they are missing, obviously, Sherman and Chancellor, which is huge for us. Honestly, if they were at full health, it'd be tough to pick this game. But, I think we should go in and take care of business this week. Big test. I think the team's going to be up for it. They hear the doubters saying they haven't played anybody, blah, blah, blah. And, they're going on the road. They know what they're in for. Then they know what's at stake. So Minnesota's right at their heels. They got to come out and play, and I think they will.
Yeah. These next two games, we know this right now. We all know this. This is going to be the test because you still got those people out there. They're like, well, the Eagles have played the easiest schedule in the league. They haven't played anybody. Well, this is our test right here. This is it. This is our chance to prove all those doubters wrong. And you know what? All those people that say the Eagles have the easiest schedule in the league, you know what I say? So the fuck what? So what?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing the teams on their schedule. It's not like it's college football where you go out and schedule non-conference opponents. Like, they can't help who's on the schedule. We looked at it in the beginning of the year. We thought it was one of the toughest schedules in the league. It just turned out it wasn't. I mean, there's a couple teams that are 5-6 that we beat that would have winning records if we lost to them. So, and look at the Chargers now. I mean, they've turned it on, and I still think that's a very quality win, even though they were winless when we played them, because I think they lost like 2 or 3 games by a missed field goal. So, I mean, it's all circumstantial. I mean, you got to go out and beat the teams on your schedule, and we've been destroying teams. Like, they've been pretty bad, like the Bears and the Cardinals and whoever, but we're beating them by a very big margin. It's not like Pittsburgh going out there and beating Indy by 2 or 3 points or whatever that game was.
Yeah. And then you got New England, who hasn't played anybody all year, but nobody wants to talk about them, though.
Right? Oh, yeah, I know. It's, because, it's New England. They get the New England treatment.
Oh, I cannot wait. When we get to a Super Bowl, I cannot wait to play them. They are such a fraud this year. I'm telling you. They would spread that defense.
I think we would. But I still would prefer Pittsburgh or someone else because of Tom Brady. I don't want to see Tom Brady.
I definitely hear you on that.
But I mean, it would be nice for us to get some revenge and kind of see the torch passing from Brady to Wentz.
Yeah,
because I think Wentz is that good. I think he's going to be that good.
Big difference between last year and this year. When the Eagles get up 28-3, they'll be able to hold the lead.
I think so. With this defense, hell yeah, man. They ain't giving up that big of a lead. No way.
All right, so let's get into it. You kind of referenced it a little bit before. The front seven going against the offensive line of the Seahawks. So obviously this is a huge dilemma for Seattle. It's been a dilemma all season long. Actually, it's been a dilemma for like a couple years now. So they tried to make a big splash before the trade deadline. They brought in Dwayne Brown. I honestly thought that was a move to strictly combat with the Eagles because they know that the Eagles have this great front seven and their O-line. They have some huge problems. So if you want to beat the Eagles, you got to keep Russell Wilson protected. Now, here's the thing. If you look at the stats, it's kind of crazy. They're actually in the middle of the pack in terms of sacks allowed. It's like 26. So when you look at the numbers, you would think like, well, with that O-line, it would actually be a lot worse. But that just shows how great Russell Wilson is, making plays out of nothing.
I mean, yeah, for sure, man. Russell Wilson's a magician back there. He's probably one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league, and you've seen him running for his life for years, ever since they got rid of Max Unger up front. Their line's just been complete shit. They haven't had a running game. And also, beast mode leaving, retiring, and all that stuff. That doesn't help. I mean, he's really come into his own as a quarterback the last couple of years, and it's just he makes plays. It's similarly to Wentz. Like, you just don't know how he does it. So, I mean, it's going to be a huge challenge for us to keep him in the pocket. And I don't know like how good Dwayne Brown's been playing for them. I haven't really seen much, but I mean, our D line is pretty much eaten against everybody this year, and I expect a lot of the same Sunday night in Seattle.
It's funny. I'd probably say Big V's probably looked better than him so far.
Yeah, Big V's look very good so far, man.
Yeah, there you go. So you got him, Luke Jokel's their left guard, Justin Britt's their center. Justin Britt's not bad. Luke Jokel, we obviously know he's been a bust. You got Adea Bushi, the right guard, and the right tackle is a Fetch.
Yeah, that guy last year they drafted.
Yeah, the first round rookie, second year player, but first round.
Main Fetty or whatever.
Fetty, yeah, I believe Texas A&M. So that's your 5. Now, I think that it's not getting sacks. It's the key here is, like you said, keep them in the pocket and maintaining gap control. That's what they need.
Which is a little different, I think, than we've played so far this year. I mean, we've kind of just been full throttle, like, go get him. And Russell Wilson's the type of guy, if we get pressure up the middle and he rolls right or even left, I mean, he can make you pay. Especially his receivers are pretty adept at kind of going with their secondary routes, almost like we've seen with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers in years past. I mean, it's just like they know their quarterback's extending the play. They know to go find an open zone, and he'll find them. So, I mean, it's a little bit different of an animal. We got to prepare for, but we've been scheming really well for teams this year. And I mean, Seattle has absolutely zero run game, which I think really, really plays into our favor.
They are honestly ultimately one-dimensional.
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson really has been that good this year. I don't know what his stats are, but I watch him play, and I mean, you'll watch him and listen, like, he takes off scrambling right after the snap.
Yeah, I mean, he's like what? Their leading rusher by 200 yards or something. And like I said before the show, he accounts for 83% of their offense, which is like the most in the Super Bowl era ever, which is absolutely insane. I mean, he's the reason they're 7-4.
Yes, yeah, he really is, because there were times earlier in the season where that running game, I mean, it's still not good, but, like, by God, they couldn't even gain a yard. It was just that bad, and at least they're scoring over 20 points now. Like before, I mean, they had a game where it was like 12-9 against San Francisco, and they've had some really ugly offensive outings. I believe they've gone over 20 in like 3 of the last 4 games, so the offense has gotten a little bit better. But basically, if you have the gap contain, if you contain your gaps and gap responsibility, I think that's the way they're going to have to go. Now, another thing that you reference, they have the best backyard receivers in the NFL. Doug Baldwin is the best at that, finding vacancies in the open zone and just being able to see Wilson scramble and come back to the ball. He does that extraordinarily well. Paul Richardson is kind of doing that a little bit too. He's had a bigger year this year. I wasn't that high on him coming out, but starting to turn around just a little bit. Tyler Lockett's been kind of a bust for them. He stinks. So it's containing Baldwin, and the other guy in this equation, I think, is an X factor. I don't know what to expect, but ever since Jordan Hicks has gone down, the Eagles haven't faced a quality tight end. They're facing Jimmy Graham this week.
Yeah, I mean, they're either going to have to use Malcolm on him or Nigel Bradham. I mean, I know Kendrick has been a little bit better in coverage, but I still don't want to trust him on Graham. I think you'll see a lot of Malcolm on him, honestly. That's just my opinion. I don't know what they're going to do. The tough thing about this is, excuse me, if we sit in zone, like you just said, Baldwin and them boys are going to find the open zones if Russell Wilson extends the plays. And if we play man, Russell Wilson could beat us with his legs. So it's really going to be tough. It's going to be interesting to see what Schwartz does. I mean, obviously, like I just said, they've been scheming great all year. He's got something planned, but it's definitely going to be something to watch. But I mean, if I were the Eagles with Jimmy Graham, I would just say, Malcolm, you're our captain in the backfield. You shut him down. I mean, kind of like Byron Jones did to Zach Ertz a little bit. Jimmy Graham's a little bigger than Zach Ertz, so he's like 6'7", but he's not that physical. So maybe get him, kind of hit him a little bit at the beginning of the game, see if we can take him out.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is I don't know what the percentage is on how many times they line him out wide, but it seems like it's half the time he's lined out wide. So he's not just playing tight end out there; he's playing receiver as well. So I guess if Jenkins maybe
Or I mean, if he's lined up at tight end, Jenkins. I mean, who knows if he lines up at receiver? Our corners have been pretty damn good. It's just I don't really
smaller corners though.
That's what I'm saying. I don't really want to trust a corner on Jimmy Graham. I mean, especially not in the red zone. The red zone, you better see Malcolm come up on him.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Malcolm's not that much bigger, but it's just I trust him of anybody in the backfield to make the play when we need one because he's got that C for a reason.
Yeah. See, ultimately, I think it comes down to if they can just limit them to below 20 points, I think the Eagles' offense will score over 20.
Yeah, I mean, in the Seattle, they give up 34 to the Falcons, and I mean, the Falcons. I know that they have a shit ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but they weren't exactly clicking before that. Our offense, I think, we're averaging the most points in the league right now. So, how are they? I mean, honestly, like, I don't think their corners are going to be able to stop our guys, and Earl Thomas can only cover or help with one dude.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be Wentz is just going to basically pick them apart. I really think he will, as long as our O-line holds up against their front seven. They might blitz the hell out of him, but knowing him all year, he's been finding the holes. So,
and here's the thing too about their front seven. They're going to be without Cliff Averill.
yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
That's big because of this. Because as good as Big V has played, I don't think he's really faced an adept pass rusher yet. And Averill, I was curious. I was curious to see how Big V would handle him. But Averill's not going to play. So that threat is gone. You still have Michael Bennett, but at least you have Lane Johnson going against him.
Clark's all right. Frank Clark's decent, but he's not Averill.
Yeah, he's not Averill. Yeah. I like their interior. I think they actually have some solid pieces in the interior. They have a rookie by the name of Naz Jones, I believe. He was a third rounder. He's had a pretty big season for them. And then Jerron Reed, their other defensive tackle, who was a first rounder for them last year. So, and then obviously they got Sheldon Richardson there. So it'll be tough to run the ball up the middle, but I think you can attack them on the edges. But Wagner does go sideline to sideline. It'll be tough to run the ball, but I think you can run on them more so than Seattle can run on us.
Oh, well, yeah, I 100% agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Wagner and KJ Wright back there, they're pretty solid. Maybe we'll see more Ajayi this week. I mean, because Garrett is more of a down the hill between the tackles guy, and it was working. But, I mean, I don't know if Ajayi was upset because, he was getting run down or he didn't get his touches or whatever. But maybe they kind of feed him the rock a little more this week because he's a little bit more shifty. He can get to the outside. And we might see some more of Corey Clement. We might see some screen game a little more this week. I'd like to see that, kind of set our guys up outside, let it slowly develop. Because I think, if we try and just run downhill on these guys, I mean, Brandon Brooks is mauling people. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, Kelsey has been great, and so is Wiz, but they're not exactly maulers like Brandon Brooks is. So it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see. But I definitely want to see a couple of screens to the Ajayi or Clement. We haven't really seen much of that because Sproles has been out.
Yeah, that's true. I want to get into this discussion because you brought up Ajayi, and we talked about this on our PI Live podcast from the other night. So the one guy thinks that Ajayi was pissed off about the carries and he's a little bit worried moving forward. Here's what I'll say. All right, so when you have athletes, when you're shoving microphones in their face like 30 minutes after a game, you're going to get highly emotional, especially some of these guys. And no, he was not acting the same way on Sunday as he did in weeks before, because I actually went back and I checked. He was all smiley and awesome before. And then on Sunday, yes, there was some doom and gloom. I also don't want you guys to be naive and to just believe every word he says, okay? Because he said after the game, he said, well, actually, when he was pissed off and he did the whole clowns thing on the Twitter, he referenced that he was mad about fumbling. All right. In my opinion, I think he was pissed off he's not getting enough carries. But you know what? It's not a big deal. I don't think this is a big deal at all. Because here's why. He's a young kid. He's in his third year. He doesn't know how to handle the media yet. Some of these kids, man, they come in here, they just have no idea. The media is prying. They want clickbait. They want clicks. So they're fucking prying. And Ajayi kind of fell for it a little bit. He was giving the one-word answers. He was being mopey. Here's what happened this week, and here's what's going to happen on Sunday. Monday, Doug Peterson. Hey, Jay, come in the office. Let's talk. Let's talk, pal. Let's talk. And I'm sure he told them, hey, if you have any issues with the media, don't talk to them, talk to me. So I'm sure the whole emotional intelligence, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Jay is going to get 10-plus carries this week, and everything's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple things on this. So the one thing that's interesting to point out is there actually was a PR guy right next to him when he was doing the interviews. So he maybe was frustrated, but what I kind of think it was, I think he might have been a little frustrated with himself in the beginning of the game. If I'm not mistaken, he had it dropped in the beginning of the game, didn't he? That he basically should have caught it and they dumped it off to him and he dropped it. I think that after that he saw limited snaps, and the touches in the backfield they're so competitive that they might just have been riding the hot hand. Like Garrett had a couple of carries in the beginning, and that just might have been the game flow. And he might have just been upset that he missed an opportunity. He might have been upset that he got caught from behind again. He might not be 100% healthy either, considering he looked a little faster last year. We don't really know what's going on. All I know for certain is that the leadership on this team, as I've been saying all year, is so strong, and he's a new arrival. They're not going to let him being upset with his touches kind of grow into this huge thing. It'll get squashed right away. I think you're also right. I think Doug will make it a point to at least get him 10 touches this game, just because, he's a high profile guy. He's a pretty good playmaker. I mean, he saw his 2 big runs in the beginning when he came over. So, I don't want to make too big of a deal out of it. We really don't know the context of everything. Who knows why he said what he said, why he was acting like he was acting. I don't like to read into these things too much. Now, if it continues, if say he's limited again and he's frustrated again, then it's something to worry about. But I think you're right. I think that he's going to go into this week. He'll get his touches. And, I think Carson, honestly, is at the point on the offense that he'll say something to him if he's not happy with the Jai run in his mouth. Because at the end of the day, they got the win, and that's all that should matter.
Yeah. This is not a big deal. Like it did get way overblown, and
that's what we do in Philly, man. We blow up everything, and it got really overblown because Ray Dittinger after the game was like, shut your mouth and tote the ball, which he came on the radio and said I shouldn't have said it like that. I still think he's frustrated with those touches, but I could have been a little more respectful. So he owned up to that. I think that's what really blew it up, is because Ray Dittinger's word carries pretty heavy weight around Philly, and what he said, like the way he said it, doesn't usually say things like that. And then you have Seth Joyner following him up saying the same thing in typical Seth Joyner fashion.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to take like a little bit of contrarian point of view and say this. I like that Jai is pissed off for not getting enough touches. I like that, actually. I don't care like the whole team thing. I like it. I don't see it as a selfish thing. He wants to help the team because he knows how talented he is. I honestly believe he's frustrated about the touches. I think it's naive to think that he was frustrated about fumbling. I think that's a little stupid.
Yeah, it's so. We'll see. If he gets more touches this game, then I think that leads you to believe that especially if he doesn't start out fast, then maybe they're okay. We need to get him the rock. Seriously, like Corey Clement's been good. He's been good. But Blunt and Ajayi are your best 2 backs by far. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm sure the Clement lovers will say something. But
yeah, I love him too. Hell, look at his production for an undrafted free agent. And honestly, it's questionable whether Garrett will even be back next year. Who knows? So
it's not even a question. He's out. He's done. Yeah. I don't think he's coming
back. Corey will be on the team. Corey's here and Ajayi's here. So. And Sproles comes back, and he's your number 3. Pumphrey, goodbye.
Me too. Yeah. Jeez. I'm sure. So again, it's like I'm sure Doug is going to go talk to Deuce. I know Deuce is in charge of the carries and all that, and who gets the ball. But at the end of the day, Doug Peterson is the head coach, and I'm sure he's going to go say something to him and be like, "Hey, get him involved." And you know what? I was expecting him to get more involved. I'm pissed off he didn't get more carries. If I'm pissed off, he should be pissed off.
Even the couple big games he had, he didn't get a crazy amount of carries, but it was still more evenly distributed. So, and in Seattle, if we're up early, they might try and just run the clock out. And even if it's early in the third, if we're up 2 touchdowns, just ball control, chew the clock, man. So, that would bode well for his carries. Also, like I just said, the screen game, I think Ajayi's more than capable of doing that and being used as a receiver kind of, downfield. So, we'll see. It just remains to be seen how the touches will be distributed. It also could just be like a New England Patriots thing where you just never know who the hell is going to get the ball, which, people say we're modeling ourselves after New England, so –
Oh, we are literally the New England Patriots right now. That's what it is, because we attack every team's weakness. That's what we do. That's how every game plan is. You don't know what's coming. You don't know how we're going to attack each week, and we have the versatile pieces to do it. You don't know if we're going to throw the ball 50 times a game. You don't know if we're going to run it 30. You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, and I honestly, I definitely want to see us be aggressive and attack early. Whether it's, obviously you got to establish the run in the beginning of the game, but I kind of want to see us take a shot downfield maybe. I mean, we're on the road in a hostile environment. Again, we've highlighted their, injuries in the secondary. Why not? You hit one, boom. If not, knowing when to at least overthrow the guy or put it somewhere where only his receiver can catch it. So, I mean, I would like to see that for sure. And then once they kind of have to defend the deep ball, you can start hitting them underneath, really get that run game going. So, that's just something I've been thinking about this week, kind of tossing around my head. Because, I mean, if we hit a big play early against Seattle in their home crowd, like they talked about, take the crowd out of the game early, that's one way to do it.
I don't know what the stats are. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. But obviously, we know the Eagles start fast. And the Seahawks, on the other hand, they normally start slow. They're normally playing from behind for most of the game. So this could be another situation, man, where you get off to another big lead if you're the Eagles, for sure. The other thing I'm really curious to see what Seattle team we get. Because this is the point of the year where they flip the switch. It's Thanksgiving now. It's time for them to get going. And if they don't get going, they're not going to make the playoffs. So this isn't a game where we're going to see one of those bad Seattle teams this year. We're going to get their best shot.
Oh, I mean, certainly, man, certainly. And, I mean, they still have playmakers all over the field, guys that have been there, guys that have gone to Super Bowls. They've won, they've lost. Excuse me. So we're going to get their best shot. They're a veteran team, and if we expect to go in there and just play our game and win, it's not going to happen. It's going to be physical, and we're going to have to go in there and be hungry. Sure as hell can't play like we played last week against the Bears. Like, I mean, I know the game was over, but those penalties and those couple, we had a couple fumbles. No good, man. No good. I mean, we get a turnover against Seattle. If you can run it, but get the hell down. We got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and trust him to put us in the end zone.
Yeah, for real. 18 touchdowns in their last 20 red zone trips. Carson Wentz has not thrown an interception in the red zone, has not thrown an interception when it's blitz this year. I don't care that Tom Brady has more yards. He can take those yards and shove it up his ass. Carson Wentz is the MVP of the league this year.
I mean, he's been the king of efficiency and just seeing what he's done at the line of scrimmage. Like, that's why I like to say football, you can't just look at the damn numbers. You got to watch the game. Like, I don't care that Carson Wentz isn't throwing for crazy yards or has a high completion percentage. He makes so many impact plays, not even just the plays like when he basically turned and scrambled out of that screen. That was incredible. Like, I still can't believe he did that. I think that was one of his best plays of the season. Yeah. I mean, this guy's been a highlight reel all year. And people around the league that talk, I mean, yeah, Brady's got the numbers, but they're all saying it's Wentz's award to lose because he really just has been that eye-popping this year. And just not that much has changed on our roster. I mean, yeah, we got Jernigan, which is huge, and Jeffrey, and a couple guys, in the defensive backfield, but it's really been Carson Wentz's leap that has pushed us forward. And seriously, I mean, we're 10-1, man. 10-1. And Carson's got the best TD to interception ratio in the league. Like you just said, no interceptions on in the red zone or when he's blitzed. I mean, I think he's the best third down passer in the league. Yep. So really, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer to me. And also, Tom Brady might get that LeBron James treatment a little bit. Like, you kind of give it to him every year. So,
yeah, I hear you. There are 3 quarterbacks ever after Week 12 to have at least 28 touchdowns and less than 5 interceptions. So Carson Wentz's company, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers.
I've heard that, man. That's great company. Amazing company, man. 2 of the best ever and 2 of the best I've ever seen. I mean, God, that's amazing. I love that stat. I've heard it.
He did his second year, too. Just
yeah. Well, and, I mean, I've heard guys saying, like, he's better than Russell Wilson in his second year. He's better than Big Ben in his second year. Better than Brett Favre. Not Dan Marino. Not Dan Marino. But very close to Dan Marino. Like, who's had a better second season besides Wentz? Like, Dan Marino and who? Like, really, I can't think of it. Can you? You know better than me.
Well, Kurt Warner's the other one, but he doesn't really count.
Yeah, because he was older. He wasn't, because people forget too. Like you just said about Ajayi being young in the media. Like, Carson Wentz is 24, I think. Like, he's a year older than me. I'm still so mature in so many ways. Like, God, I've got a lot to growing to do. He seems like he's a freaking 33-year-old veteran up there. Conducts himself professionally. Like, everything about him, he checks all the boxes. It's like, it's like a dream, and I'm just waiting to wake up, and it's it's real.
Don't wake me up, like Chris Brown used to say. Don't wake me up. All right. What else we got on the agenda? Oh, well, receivers going against their corners. So now with Richard Sherman out, well, that means Shaquille Griffin is their starter. Well, Pete Carroll is technically not named the starter for this week. Griffin didn't play last week because of a concussion. So for Pete's sake, just name your starter already. I think it's Griffin, and the other side, it's who's on the other side? Jeremy Lane. Jeremy Lane.
And then they signed Maxwell, but he's trash.
He stinks.
Yeah,
stinks.
I mean, we have the advantage. We do. I mean, Nelson Aguilar in the slot should eat all day. I mean, as long as he's not getting jacked up by a linebacker. And, I mean, who's going to cover Alshon? And especially with how Carson and him have been playing lately. I mean, he's been getting open. Even when he's not open, Wentz is putting it right there for him in tight windows. And that was a matchup I was looking forward to seeing when the game was on the schedule, Alshon versus Sherman. I know he was a little slow to begin the year, but we all expected Alshon and Carson to kind of develop this chemistry. Now with the Sherman's gone, I mean, Chancellor's gone, it's nice, man. We just got to watch for Earl Thomas back there on the deep balls kind of playing center field on us, which, I mean, he's one of the best in the game, so you can't put that past him. But, I mean, they're just so depleted back there. It's again, things are kind of falling our way. It's awesome.
I want to see that back shoulder ball again. I want to see a couple of those.
Yeah.
We finally saw it last week with the perfection. That was the first perfect back shoulder throw we've seen all season. And if we can get more of that, that'd be amazing. Especially, you don't have – I mean, Earl Thomas flies around and, he can help you over the top. But, again, it's like he can't cover both receivers at the same time. So Alshon Jeffrey, any corner that has inside shade, he should be looking at Carson and be like, hey, back shoulder, come on, bro.
Exactly. I mean, that's a big-time NFL throw, and now that Carson's developing the trust in Alshon to do it, Alshon's one of the best receivers in the game to go up and get those. So, I mean, yeah, I'm all about it, man. It's almost impossible to defend. It's just – and it, like I just said, that is a major, big-time NFL throw, one of the toughest to make. There's guys that are, 5-6-year veterans that still can't do that. So it just speaks volumes to Carson, his improvement. And I guess his quarterback guru did kind of work, huh?
Did.
Well, when I heard he was going there, I was very happy because the guy has a great track record.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm looking in the chat. We got EDP in the chat. EDP doing the reverse psychology. It's been working all year.
Yeah, what's he saying?
He's got Seattle 45-20. That's actually better than it used to be. I think earlier in the week you told me 66-0. So
yeah, he said 60-0 last week.
Yeah,
Bears.
Yeah. Actually, 45-20. I don't think, dude, you got a bigger route, bro. Bigger blowout. Like Seattle 77-0.
Yeah.
That would definitely
win. Hey, man, whatever's working, just keep it up.
Hey, it's working for me too because I haven't picked wrong all year.
Yeah, I know. I've got the one loss, and the one thing I'll say is if we go in the only way we lose this game is if we don't play our game, and I think if we come in and just have a bad day, which hasn't really happened. I mean, Kansas City, yeah, we didn't play our best. It was still in the beginning of the year, and I mean, Giants game, you can argue that fourth quarter was pretty bad, and besides that, I mean, we've been clicking. The Bears again, we had the issues, but that was just they weren't up for the opponent. It's just on paper and watching these two teams play, it's not close. And look at the line in Vegas. It's 5.5 for the Eagles. The guys with the money know. So I honestly think if we lose, it's going to be us beating ourselves. It's going to be guys not executing. As Chip Kelly used to say, we didn't execute. It'll just be like that because head and shoulders, I really think we're a much better football team than Seattle.
Yeah,
right.
I think they match up very well. I mean, I just on their offensive side of the ball. I mean, I don't know how they're going to protect Wilson. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if he's scrambling around because that's what he does. But it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough for them.
And we've been good at not missing tackles, too. We've been good at wrapping up and keeping the guy there. If we can't get him down, someone else finishes. So, I mean, that's all we got to do is keep playing the game.
I'm also seeing people in the comment section. They're trying to correct me about Ajayi and said he's pissed at the fumbles. Again, if you were listening, here's the deal, right? You can't just assume that all right, just because he said he was pissed about the fumble is correct. You can't just like assume that. You have to read between the lines. That's how you handle, pressers and kind of reading things. I do think he was pissed about the carries, and it's not a big deal at all. We don't have to be concerned about this, and it's okay that he was angry about the carries. I don't know why you're like guys are insistent that he was mad at the other thing. He was mad at the carries, and Doug took him in. He's got the emotional intelligence. Everything's going to be okay. I'm glad that he's pissed about the carries because now he's going to get 10 or more on Sunday. So we get to see more Jay, more choo-choo. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing Doug is very good at is the emotional aspect of things. And I think that, he probably talked to Deuce and Deuce talked to him or talked to him himself. And again, like, I'm not worried about it because, every locker room has a couple things that happen, and some of them come out, some of them don't. The closer teams like us keep it in. I'm sure there's been a couple feuds on the team this year in the beginning of the season before we were winning that we didn't hear about because the leadership on the team is that strong. If anybody talked, they weren't going to be part of the team, man, And you see the camaraderie with these guys. Like, you see it. It's just they love playing together. They love playing for each other. And I think Ajayi is just happy to be on a contender, honestly. Like, he might be playing into February and, playing in a Super Bowl as a running back is a pretty damn special thing, getting that touchdown. So he's not an idiot. These guys know what's at stake here. They know how good they are. They're not looking ahead. It's just they're grown men. They're very aware. It's not like some of us in the city that are afraid to even consider the Super Bowl as a possibility because they think we're going to jinx it.
Yeah, I've been getting yelled at since week 6. I've been saying S word since week 6.
Dude, I mean, after it was I don't know who it might have been Merrill or someone was on. Oh, it was Ray Didinger again. Okay, so I was hearing him on WIP today. He talks in the morning show. He was in for an hour, and he goes, and I said this too, and in the back of my head, I said it to my buddy after we made that kick. It was just so magical. I was like, dude, I mean, this might be the year, man. Like I said it, just I was in the moment. Looking back, like that really kind of kicked off this whole special, just weirdly like it's just a feel around this team. And Ray Didinger said it too. Like when that kick went in, he's like, this might be the year. Honestly, might be. And then you saw what happened. Aaron Rodgers goes down. We start railing off this winning streak. Sherman goes. It's just crazy how things are falling our way. And like knock on wood, but I mean, let's hope it continues, man. We got to lock up home field. We can't get complacent because if we don't lock up home field, I don't care. I mean, then I'm nervous. I'm real nervous.
It was 3 things. It was 1, we looked legit. 2, Rodgers went down. 3, the league as a whole is going through a transition. It's not that good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if we were playing last year's Patriots in a Super Bowl, I don't think we'd win. But we're not playing last year's Patriots. This defense is not as good as it was last year. It's just really struggling. And I know it's gotten better over recent weeks, but Football Outsiders, they still have them ranked as the 31st best defense in the league, second to last. I'm not afraid of that defense. They can't pressure the quarterback. If you give Carson Wentz all day to throw, he's going to pick you apart. So I think the Eagles are going to score like 40-plus points against that defense, and I don't even think Tom Terrific is going to be able to put up 40 against this Eagles defense. So if you met in the Super Bowl, I think the Eagles would win.
I mean, honestly, like I look at every team in the league, and on a neutral field, I would pick us.
Yeah,
and me non-biased. Like so they had a guy calling from Seattle today, one of their media people, and he goes, "Dude, you guys even like seriously? Do you even have a weakness?" Like, and they joke saying, "Oh, our special teams kick coverage like might be our biggest weak." It's insane, man. It's insane that Patrick Robinson looked like shit in the preseason, and he's playing like an all-pro. Nelson Aguilar couldn't even catch a football last year, and he's out there like doing flips into the end zone for a touchdown. It's like, what happened, man? Like, I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is amazing, man. There is nobody on the team that isn't playing up to expectations. There's nobody. You could say Torrey Smith, but I could have told you that Torrey Smith stinks. I said he stinks before he came here. I was like, I don't want that guy. He leads the league in drops over the last 5 years, and we're seeing the same thing this year. What we're seeing is Torrey Smith. This is who he is. So he hasn't been a disappointment.
Time to see more of Mac Daddy.
Yes, please, please. You want to say you talked about your deep shot earlier? That's your deep shot right there. Mac Hollins going to go out.
Look what he brings in the block. He can block too, man. Like on the outside, he's a physical receiver.
He's the best blocking receiver we have, maybe other than Alshon Jeffrey.
And dude, both those guys, like if we re-sign Alshon, they give Mac that starting job on the outside, and Nelson in the slot. I like the way that shapes up. That's very good.
Yeah. I'm starting.
I think Mac is going to come into his own in the coming years. It takes receivers a couple of years to get going, man.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. All right, so we'll do predictions now. What's your pick?
I've tossed it around in my head a couple times. You know, I'm thinking it wouldn't shock me if the Eagles go in and like don't play their best game and lose in Seattle. You know, we're kind of conditioned to think this whole like not trap game or anything, but like they're going to lay an egg and not play their best because they are human. But I mean, it's just every time I think that's a possibility, I talk myself out of it because of how good they've been. And it's just on paper, like I said, and just watching these teams play, the Eagles look significantly better. So I think they're gonna score early, open out to like a 10-0 lead. I think Seattle will get closed in a little bit, make it, halftime, maybe like 13-7. And I think the Eagles are going to come out and make some adjustments, and they're going to run the football, and we're going to win. I got us winning 27-13. Maybe Seattle makes it a little closer than that, but I just really believe in this defense. I think they've allowed, 1 or 2 touchdowns in the last month. So it's absolutely insane the level they're playing at. And I think that the Eagles they'll cover the spread for sure.
I've got 26-16. Now, the only my concern in this game, which sounds a little crazy, is actually Jimmy Graham, and I don't know how we're going to handle it. I think we'll be all right, but if we lose, I think it'll be because Jimmy Graham goes off. Because I'm still a little concerned about the linebacker spot and just Graham just crossing over the middle or something. I don't know. I don't trust these linebackers without Hicks in terms of coverage.
Yeah.
But I still got 26-16, so I got pretty much a comfortable win. That's 10 points. The spread is 5.5. I was just laughing, by the way, because EDP left a funny ass comment. So he goes, a team could be killing New England's ass 50-0, and then all of a sudden the fucking skies will part ways and Jesus Christ himself will appear on the field on some divine intervention ass shit.
I love it. That's hilarious.
EDP. Dude, Brady might be Jesus himself. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't. Or we have Ginger Jesus, so
we have Ginger Jesus. Yeah. Ginger Jesus is great.
The way you beat Graham and take him out of his game is to get physical with him early, and that's what we got to do. And we are a physical defense, so I mean that's got to be the game plan. Is just hit him early, hit him. Just if somebody beats you down the field a little bit, it happens. Hit Jimmy Graham because he'll take it right out of his game. It always has.
Yeah. We'll see.
Other than that, we might not be able to cover him. Unfortunately, the guy's a monster.
Yeah. He's been up and down since coming to Seattle. I mean, obviously not.
Yeah. Lately, he's been on a little nice stretch lately.
I believe he's got like 6 touchdowns or something in his last games. Isn't it something like that?
Yeah. I mean, then you know what the one thing is? Baldwin might get his, Graham might get his, but if you remember even going back to last year, playing against marquee receivers, Pittsburgh, Atlanta comes to mind. Julio and AB had huge games, and it was just like their receptions really weren't that significant. You know, and that's something that this defense has done really well all year is make timely plays. It's like they're giving up a lot of passing yards, but that's because a lot of it comes at the end of the game. Like we're some of the best. I think we're one of the best third down defenses in the league too, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just these DBs tackle, man. They tackle like probably I'd say the best in the league. I think I don't see another secondary tackling like ours. Yeah,
guys. If you guys want to look at like situational stats. Don't look at like pass yards per game or rush yards per game. I know the Eagles are number 1 in rush yards per game, but I like looking at yards per carry. That's a better illustration because obviously when teams are getting behind, they're going to throw the ball more, so they run the ball less. So if you run it less, you're going to get less yards per game. Yeah. So yards per carry, the Eagles are like 4th, I believe.
I think we're high up there in yards against like per attempt or whatever, right? Aren't we? Like I heard something that like the yards we give up per pass completion is like we're like top 10 or something.
Yeah, I was about to get to this point. So pass yards per game, I know it was 27th a couple weeks ago. I don't know what it is now. But the stat that I like to look at is passer rating against. So, and the Eagles are like 5th. So you can if anyone gives me the yards argument, then I know right away they don't know what they're talking about, and they're not watching the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, those are just counting stats, and of course they're situational. And I'm trying to look up something here actually too, because I'm tempted to see when you go on ESPN, and like for fantasy, you can see like if you are on your browser, you can click on, say I have like Carson Wentz going against Seattle. I could click on Seattle and see where they rank against like fantasy points given up against. So I kind of want to see where we rank in quarterbacks points against, because if I'm not mistaken, man, I mean, we're like second in the league in interceptions, aren't we? Like something like that. We sack a lot, so I'm tempted to see this. We're 9th in the league in quarterback fantasy points against, and that's considering how many yards they get in garbage time. We're still 9th. So I mean, I think that's pretty impressive. Even though it's fantasy, I mean, it's still kind of significant.
You know what other stat I like looking at? Points per drive against. Because even like, all right, so people would, when Chip Kelly, his last year in Philly, the Chip bots, the people that were pro Chip Kelly would say, well, he was still top 10 in yards. Who the fuck cares if he was top 10 in yards? He runs fucking 4 more possessions a game than your normal.
Yeah.
His yards per play stats was like 20 something.
Yeah.
But yards for the whole season was top 10. Well, why do you think it was in the top 10? Because they run more plays than everybody. Stupid. People are stupid.
Yeah. The only counting stats you can really count are touchdowns and turnovers.
Yeah, I like those are nice and easy to evaluate a quarterback. How many touchdowns, how many interceptions you're throwing? It's very easy.
And then who's the best in the league there? Carson.
There it is. So I can't wait for this game. I haven't said it yet, and we're like 40 minutes in, but I cannot wait for that Fletcher Cox deep penetration. Deep.
Gonna need it for sure, man. I mean, and yeah, keep him in the pocket, which is Fletcher Cox is getting his deep penetration. Then hopefully Russell Wilson.
Gotta go like deep. Gotta get into it like deep.
I love it, man. I love it. It's great. Yeah, I'm hyped, man. I'm ready to go. I hate these damn Sunday night games because the whole day takes forever. Even though I'm not just an Eagles fan, I love football. It's just the Eagles are the most exciting thing in football right now.
Yeah. I think some deep penetration.
Oh shit. Yeah, Sunday night, man. Prime time. America's gonna see it. America's gonna see Carson Wentz go in and carve up these damn Seahawks. Ross Tucker said something interesting. And he's a guy I think he knows what he's talking about. He said this Eagles team really reminds him of what Seattle looked like in the beginning of their like 3 to 5 year window, this run they've been on. This defense reminds him of it, the way Carson's playing, and the offense is they're running the football. Like, he reminds him a lot of Seattle, and he thinks that basically the whole country is going to see the end of Seattle's run in the beginning of Philly's 3 to 5 year window, which getting chills talking about it, man. If that's the case, like, ooh, we're in for some good football here in Philly.
That's like a topic for another show, but here's what I'll say to that, because I agree, because I've actually made the same comparison. So the reason why I say that is this. So Eagles right now, they obviously have this huge defense, obviously, but when you think of Seattle's quarterback situation, Russell Wilson, he was on his rookie contract. So you're able to build that team because, well, you didn't have to pay your quarterback a lot of money. So right now, obviously, with him getting more money, you've seen players leave to go get contracts elsewhere. So they've been drafting really well, and that's something. Now, we haven't drafted as well as Seattle, but what we're doing is we're locking up our core pieces. And you look at this defensive line right now, they want to extend Brandon Graham, and they have an opportunity to keep this whole defensive line intact through 2021. So you can have that defense in place, and you have Carson Wentz on his rookie contract for another couple of years. Yeah. So actually, your window to win Super Bowls is actually right now.
Yeah, No, that for sure. I mean, and you see it with teams like they'll come in, their quarterback will be young, they'll make it a couple years. They have a lull period, then they come back. You get about what I've heard, it's like 2 to 3 groups of guys that you have a chance with because the team, like what stays consistent is your coach, your quarterback, a couple other guys. The rest, it's interchangeable. Look at New England all these years. I mean, yes, they've been there, but their majority of their Super Bowls have been recently and in the beginning of Tom Brady's career were the victories. Obviously, they lost to the Giants twice. But I mean, I completely agree. It's now, and especially at the level Wentz is playing at, it's especially now. And the one thing I'll say about BG is get him re-signed, man. Get him re-signed. I know, people might say, oh, we have Vinny Curry and Barnett. No, Brandon Graham he's like the heart and soul. Him and Jenkins are the heart and soul of defense. You need to re-sign BG. He's one of my favorite Eagles. He's a great player. He makes plays. He's flying around the field every freaking game.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Really. And going back to the quarterback getting paid thing, think about how many teams have gotten destroyed just because they pay their quarterback a lot of money and then they can't build around them.
Yeah,
it's not because they can't draft and there's not enough money to poach free agents. Like the Colts, Andrew Luck, we've seen this. Joe Flacco with the Ravens, they haven't been back. Matt Stafford, we'll see if the Lions can build around him. So the thing that I'm hoping for, since Ginger Jesus is a good Catholic boy, he won't take as much money as everyone else. Because Tom Brady, he does that where he's like, all right, you guys need some cap relief. You don't have to pay me as much. Aaron Rodgers has done this. All the great ones do, like Peyton Manning. Like if you have all those endorsement deals, you don't really need to get paid a lot of money. So Carson Wentz, he's going to be the MVP of the league, and he's going to get some endorsement deals. So over the next couple of years, he's not going to need as much money as everyone else.
100% agree, man. I mean, I could see him doing it. He's going to get, his guaranteed money and everything, but Howie's a cap genius. He'll figure something out, and it'll come out. Carson took a little bit less than he could have. I don't think his first big contract he's going to do it as much as he will maybe his second one. I also think he might restructure it down the line because, he wants to win. He cares about his legacy. That's what not even his legacy. He just really wants to win.
Yeah.
I mean, legacy comes with that. So if you want to win, you can give up a couple $1 million here or there to keep an Alshon Jeffrey or to keep a Lane Johnson, who I don't know how long he's signed for, but, we might need to work something out. I mean, you got to keep the line together. I mean, looking at it, how long's Brooks signed for? Because he's been a monster. Lane's been a monster. Kelsey, we have potentially 3 all pros on our line. Insane.
For real though. Brooks, he signed for a couple years, right?
Brooks has been he might be the most underrated dude this year. Nobody talks about him. He's just killing people. It's great.
Yeah. I guess he's been more underrated than Wisniewski in a way then.
Maybe this is another one.
We've been talking about the left guard spot a lot because Sayamalu sucked. So obviously we've had a lot of focus on Wiz, but Brooks has been doing his thing, and I hear you. We're not really talking about him as much.
Yeah, because I think it's because it was expected. He's such a big dude, and he came in big signing. And Wiz is I expected him to step in and do his job, but he's been even better than just that. He's been the whole line just playing absolutely phenomenal, man. And that's what football is. It starts up front, and we probably have the best O-line in football and probably the best D-line in football, which is awesome. So,
yep, absolutely. All right, so that's pretty much it for this show. We actually went kind of long here, but you got any final thoughts?
Nope, just go Birds, baby, not the Seahawks kind. Let's go Eagles.
Go Eagles!
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. All right, so that is James Worthington. I am Adrian Fetke. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. So there you go. Maybe I'll start plugging our Twitters at the end of the show. You got a Twitter, James, right? How do people follow?
Well, I don't even know what my actual handle is anymore. let me look it up quick.
I'll start plugging some of our social media stuff so people know. I am at
I'm at J_Worthington74.
Okay, there you go.
I tweet about sports a lot, so
follow James on Twitter. Follow Adrian Fedke on Twitter. You can just type in the Bitter Birds and I'll pop up, so you can do that. And some of the other guys actually don't have Twitters. Kyle doesn't have a Twitter. Mike has a Twitter. Mike Owens has a Twitter, so follow him.
And if you're following Adrian's account, you can just type in our names in and we'll probably pop up, honestly.
There you go. Yeah, do that. So there you go. That's it. End of the show. We're done. We're leaving. Bye. See you guys. James Worthington. I'm Adrian Fedke. Peace.